Portia to come up. Portia is going to be talking to us about the accelerator programme. Portia, I'll leave you to take it away.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Hello, my name is Portica Bircher. I work for UK Space Agency and I lead the UK Space Agency's business support programme. So the UK Space Agency has had a business support programme since about 2015. At the time, what we did was we grant funded existing business support programmes or existing incubators, and we encouraged them, we funded them and encouraged them to sort of seek out and support space businesses. You will see the ESABIC on there. So the premise of that network was actually to share good practice, to identify opportunities and to work together to coordinate more a little bit in terms of sort of like, supporting that whole cadre of space startups. So we do fund the ESABIC, and I'm not going to talk about that, not because they're not worth talking about, but that's not what we're here to talk about. We do fund the ESABIC through our sort of like subscription to ESA, but they are obviously a big part of the business support ecosystem. So they were in our network, as was Seraphim Space Camp, and I think actually Seraphim Space Camp was born out of the this network. But times move on, and we want that model was a good model, and remember that slide because I should come back to it. But it wasn't really a scalable project. So what we then did about sort of 2020, 2019, throughout 2019, we kind of looked at what it was that we could do, which was better and more efficient, more coordinated to support space businesses. And what we did is we brought on board an external provider that gave us the opportunity to have more direct contact with the companies that we supported. And the provider we brought on board was Entrepreneurial Spark. They had a partnership with the University of Strathclyde, and we then piloted the first LEO programme. LEO, not low Earth orbit, sort of like LEO in terms of business, like Lions, business leaders. So that was our first programme. We had about 30 companies, and they were at all different levels. They were different types of businesses. We had, for example, we had a consultant who was providing management skills specifically to space companies, all the way through to an R&D company who had identified an opportunity to develop sort of like life support equipment for deep space missions. So we supported them all, but it gave us some really good evidence and some really good feedback from the cohort as to what we wanted to do. And don't forget, I mean, this was like sort of during the pandemic, so it was all online, but it also gave us, the learning was all online, but it also gave us the opportunity to really reach kind of companies all around the UK, which are, I'm part of the local growth team, so that's one of our main priorities, is to support the companies wherever they are in the UK. We also wanted to reach out to the sector more widely, so we had a series of webinars which we called Business Horizons. They were very business focused, and I think overall in the first lot there was 8. I think there were 8 weekly or fortnightly webinars, and we reached over to like 1,200 people during that time. So so that was what we did in the first programme. And as I said, we learned from what, we learned from the people that we supported in the first programme. We then got the funding to extend the pilot, but one of the things that we did learn was sort of like a big cohort of lots of different companies of lots of different sizes was a little bit unruly. So with the second Leo programme, we just concentrated on companies of post proof of concept, but then we thought that, well, we're missing out the sort of like the very early stages. So that is when we introduced Explore, and we introduced Geo. Geo was then for in that context were the some of the really good companies and the really high potential companies from the first Leo programme that we then sort of like saw some sort of scalability, and we were supporting them to scale their businesses. So that's some of the, so at the end of that, so that was over kind of 2 financial years, it was about 18 months in all told, and we looked at the impact on that, and so these are some of the impacts from that programme. You know, the big, for me, I suppose there's the big figure of the companies, of those 88 companies they managed to raise during that period, just sort of, you know, just over £8 million of investment, which I think was pretty good. But one of the other things that was really important to me was we supported companies from every nation and every region of the UK. And that's one of the big things, and that's one of the big drivers for me to deliver that programme, is to actually find companies and be able to give them support wherever they are. And the other thing that is a really big priority for me is that we try to increase diversity in the sector. So we actively seek to support companies and entrepreneurs from either underrepresented minority groups within the space sector. So this was some of the impacts, and this is some of the evidence that I used to secure the funding for this year. So we've got some funding. We've got funding a little bit like Rob with CEOI. We've got funding now up to March of 2025. We've got a provider on board again. That was open competition, but luckily, I think for me and some of the for the companies, Entrepreneurial Spark did win that competition. But with them, they bought quite a big and experienced consortium of business support providers. So the way that kind of consortium works is that Entrepreneurial Spark mostly provides the business support, so the one-to-one enablement and that kind of entrepreneurial mindset challenge that participants of the programme get. But also they've got space-specific partners. So there's Exotopic, Oldham Legal, and Deloitte. So amongst others. So they've got quite a big and quite an experienced consortium. Oh, I've gone back. There we go. So there we go. So that's the next chapter. We are going to be doing Explore again. So Explore is for early stage businesses, and we sort of like thought of like what's the persona of somebody who would be interested in Explore. So the kind of sort of entrepreneur that we're thinking of is either the inventor or the transitor. So they can be sort of like low TRL or early to business, or maybe in an adjacent sector and I have got either the products or services that they can apply to space. So these are the kind of things that they will kind of receive during that programme, is that kind of early stage and entrepreneurial mindset that sometimes technically minded sort of founders sometimes don't have that kind of that kind of business acumen, and so we try to help them with that. Very important, looking at commercialising their products, who are their partners, who are their customers, and how can they sell their products and services, and to try and get them to see, how they can then build a sustainable and commercially viable business. Explore, we've got applications open for Explore right now, so there will be a link for anybody who thinks that they are eligible or are interested in Explore. We would love to hear from them. Oh God, I've gone back again. I should stand that side. It's because it's because I'm left-handed. Leo, so this was, as I said, this was the original programme. So we will expect people who come onto Leo, we'll expect them to have a post proof of concept, and then that's then just building those business skills a bit further. Again, very much on a mindset, a leadership mindset, an entrepreneurial mindset. There may well be the need for some technical support, so we've now got that in-house with the programme. And again, looking at how to sort of really finance your business, and how to then look to sort of like sell your products, scale your business. And then Geo. So Geo is something that we tried last time, as I said, but this time it's very much footed in boosting, getting that sort of like scalability, looking for investment, looking for the teams and the people that you need to build your business, looking at where those supply chains are. There may well be, as I said, we're very interested in expanding the space sector, so we're reaching out then to adjacent industries with the products and services that can be applicable in space. So what else? This is where I need my notes because there's a lot else. So a lot of it, with the first programs, with the programs that they were online. So with these programs now, there will be also elements of in-person networking. There's they've developed a canvas, and you just think, oh God, business support canvas. Everybody's seen those. But what they're trying to do with the canvas and the diagnostic is to align it to sort of like, say, the ESA and ARTES canvases. So that way, any participants who come through our programs and they complete this canvas will then be able to use that if they then want to then go on and apply for ESA funding. There's a lot, again, very focused on raising finances, and we've got a lot of partners involved who can help and advise people options for financing their business. So, as I said, applications for Explore are now open. Leo and Geo will be opening soon. You can register your interest between the 25, 30 of us. I think applications for Leo and Geo will probably be announced at Ignite Space, but don't tell anybody I told you that. But there's a website. If you go on to UKSpaceaccelerator.co.uk, Ignite Space. This is at Aerospace Bristol on the 7th of March. Show of hands, has anybody been to Aerospace Bristol? Is it fantastic? Yeah. Cool. It is fantastic. It's in that we've had the hangar where the Concorde, where the last flight, the Concorde to fly is. So this is SME focused. we've got, what we've tried to do this time is to sort of have zones that we think are like important and interesting for SMEs to engage with. So we've got the clusters, business, government, skill zones. So we've got leads in each of the zones who are tasked with developing a main stage session. There's also going to be some workshops that UKSA has got and anchored in are running an investment launchpad pitching event. So if you know of any companies who might be interested in applying to pitch at an Ignite Space, then I can give you those details. We've got a meet the supplier session going on. So it is all going on at Ignite Space. So do check that out. I say we've sold, we haven't sold because we're not selling, but we've got about 350 tickets, and I think about 320 of them have gone. So we'll probably end up with a waiting list for Ignite Space. And that's me. Thanks very much.